I always like to go through the history of the chip guide. As we know, the chip guide was started by Greg Susan, Hall of Fame member Greg Susan. Originally, he had done a riverboat catalog, because riverboats is what he liked to collect. That eventually became a website for riverboats. He then added Indian casinos, Nevada $1 chips, chips from Maryland and from Florida, and it was constantly being enhanced up until the time he passed away. And that was 2008. And by that time, he had about 16,500 chips on the guide, and it was only chips. About a year passed, and then his wife, Carol, donated his website to the museum. And as the webmaster, I took over control over it, and we went through several different phases of that. And first we got it up and running in its new home. And then the next thing we did, and the most significant thing, is we changed it from what's called a static website to a dynamic website. And to explain it, a static website is like a printed book. Each page is written out. If you wanted to change the fonts or something about each page, you'd have to change every page in the book. It becomes very difficult to do that. But in a dynamic website, it's kind of like a form. And there's one form, and then we fill it in with information about each casino. So if we want to change something for every casino, we still only have to make one change. So we changed it to a dynamic website, and today, later on, we're going to see some of the benefits of doing that. So we changed it to a dynamic website. We added all different types of collectible types. We went from just limited areas in the United States to all areas in the United States, and then to the world. So we now have a global chip guide. We continue to make ongoing improvements, as I said, based on what the feedback I get from the collector community. And again, we appreciate all the input that you give us. So what have we done in the last month, in the last 12 months? We've added new function and we've added new content. I'm going to skip by the new function because I want to show you that. Whoops, I guess I went past one. New content, okay. So, what have we done on the content side? Last year when we were here, almost every state was here except for I think about 7. We added all the states since then. So all the states are now there. Even those states that don't have legal casinos, they have illegal casinos, some of them. There are fraternal organizations like the Elks that may have had clubs that had chips there. And there are other things that may have happened there, like there's a big craze going on right now for Harley-Davidson chips. And Harley-Davidson locations are all over the country. And we're putting those on the chip guide. So we now have every state there. And we've increased the number of items from 66,000 to we're just over 107,000 items right now. Thank you. We've had a lot of collectors who have been very, very cooperative with us in the last year and made significant contributions to the chip guide. I just finished adding 2,800 Crest and Seal chips that Rich Hanover donated to the club. Jim Knoll is here. He's been constantly sending us Tito's, ticket in, ticket out, and he submitted over 2,000 that are now on the chip guide. And Jim took my class. He now sends in the items So they're ready to go on the chip guide. It's such a tremendous help. And if I had to do the photo editing and all that stuff, it would take 2 or 3 minutes per entry. Since he's done the work, it takes me a few seconds to get them on the chip guide. So thank you, Jim. Janice O'Neill, everybody know who Janice is? Janice was a former vice president of the club, and Janice was a historian. She collected information. She collected information handwritten in binders, 1 page per casino or multiple pages per casino, information about the casino's location when they opened up, what issues of tokens and chips they had. And when she passed away, that stopped, and Jerry O'Neill, her husband, donated all those casino reports to the club, and we've been slowly getting them on. And again, it's thousands, in the thousands, and it's got great historical significance. We've been working with Robert Baker. He's the author of the Slot Card Guide, and Al Scalzo and Barry have been working with him and getting slot cards. And how many tens of thousands are you working on?
He says he's got over 14,000 actors.
We've been getting those on the chip guide. Who else? Ricky Pushkin has donated images of every Atlantic City chip, limited edition chip, and token. And we're not all there, but pretty much there and getting all of those on the chip guide. Last year at this meeting, while we were here, we merged the Caribbean guide into the chip guide. And then there are many, many, many others who have made significant donations. We appreciate all of them. So, that was the content, and now new functions, and I'd like to jump over and show you them, rather than just talking about them. So, here's the new chip guide, and you see every state has a color on it, and there's something new over here called other stuff. What's other stuff? It's stuff that doesn't fit into a geographic location. There are advertising chips, Asian card rooms, casino management, club-related items, generic chips, manufacturer samples, personal chips, the UFC, sweat chips, and win cards. I want to start with casino management because this brings out a couple of different points. There are a number of companies that own more than one casino, and they use some of the items in all of their or some of their casinos. And we were at odds on how to figure out how to handle that because we didn't want each item to be listed with each casino. Kind of didn't make sense to do that. So we came up with this scheme where we could have something like a super casino, and we call it a management company, with casinos underneath it. And that gives us a way to track these. And I mentioned the Elks chips. So there are lots of Elks clubs, and here are a couple of Elks chips that are not from one location, but could have been used in any location. But if you notice underneath here, it says a member of BPLE. When I click, it's a program that I forgot to include here. Oh, come on. While I'm talking and figuring out how to fix this, I'm just going to close the window and start over again. I am actually operating on my computer and not using the internet. And that's because we don't have an internet signal in this room. So I didn't test this before I got here, so I can't show you that. Sorry about that. But what you would see is a list of all the Elks clubs, and then you can drill down into each individual Elks club and see the issues from that club. Okay, let's go back. Let's see if there's something else I can show. Asian card rooms. Okay, here we are. So here are stuff that we know the name of the place. We had it translated. Rich Hanover had it translated, but we don't know where it's from. So we have these Asian card rooms, and we thought we'd group them all together like this. And then, what else? Let's go to the home page. What else did we add? We added, we had the contributors, but we added a bar up at the top so that you don't have to page through the whole thing. If you want to get to Pam, you could go right to P and see that. And we added another page for the administrators. These are the guys who keep the chip guide up to date. And we figured we show you who they are and let you get in contact with them and let you know what areas they cover. So these are all the chip guide administrators. And if you want to send an email to Rick, you could just go over there, click on that, and it'll send an email to him. What else did we add? We added item totals by state. If you wanted to know, let's go down to United States. How many chips we have on the chip guide from Pennsylvania? You could come down here and we give the totals. We break it out by state and by the collectible type. And then the totals at the bottom. With the expand and contract feature, what we did was some of the pages for some casinos just get too long. There could be hundreds and hundreds of items. So we have a little plus mark and a minus mark, and the plus mark means expanded a section, and the minus mark means collapse it. If there's more than 100 items in the casino, I only show the chips, and everything else is collapsed. And if you want to see other things, then you could hit the expand, and you could see the dice and the playing cards and all the other stuff from the casino. And believe me, it worked very well in my room right before I came here. Okay.
It's a great feature.
So then let's get to the first pop quiz. What states are not on the chip guide?
None.
Instead of Alaska and Hawaii. Okay. It's actually a trick question. They're on the chip guide, but I didn't have any place to put them on the map. So I can't grab it. He gets a prize, which is, I was in Chico, California over the weekend, and a new card room opened there. So here's a chip. Nobody else has. Okay, so I wanted to go over again the major contributors. I mentioned a lot of these guys, and there are some people that I want to recognize who made really significant contributions. And these are people that we put in our special collections area, who have not only donated a lot of stuff, but things that have great historical significance. Like Alex Salento, Alex is over here, he donated 2,800 obsolete Vegas chips. I think when he donated them, the newest one in the lot was like 10 years old. And yeah, that's last year. And then we have Rich Hanover, I mentioned, with the Crescent Seal chips, Jim Knoll, and I've mentioned all these people, and also Frank Stewart, who donated a very significant collection of Lake Tahoe chips. And I wanted to do something special to recognize these people because it really adds so much value and interest in the chip guide. And I drew up these certificates of appreciation for those who donated these special collections. I know a few of these guys are here today. Would you come up, please? The others will get to them when we see them. So thank you. We really appreciate all you do for the ChipGuide.
Just a quick comment on that. I remember when James's book first came out, and to be able to visually see the chips as opposed to just the text was so dramatic. So I hope that inspires other collectors.
Yes, sir. I think it has. Yes.
When you add a special collection like this, do they get new scans, or do you use the same scan that you would see under the casino listing?
Since we have a database here, after Alex donated all the chips, we put them all on the ChipGuide. All I had to do was put an entry in the table called Special Collections that said contributor is Alex Salento, and what he donated was chips from Nevada. And then when we go to the Special Collections page, it says, does a query and gets everything that he contributed, all the chips that he contributed from Nevada. So the answer is, we don't really have to do anything special. We just use what's already there and present it in a different way.
So the scans stayed the same as they were, not new scans of Alex's stores?
We had put them all up.
Unless there was a new chip in it, there wasn't.
Yeah.
If the chip was already on the chip guide, then my chip didn't get us what I was at.
Oh, yeah.
That's how.
Right.
That's great.
Alex sent 2,800 chips, and we went through one by one, and each one that was not on the chip guide, which was about 2,000 of the 2,800 to show how the rarity of that collection, that's what went on the chip guide. And the 800 that were already there, they stayed. We didn't replace them. You know,
I know we have 170,000 scans up there. Why don't you tell me how many individual contributors we have and the daily use of that page?
Okay. There's a place to look that up. I think there's something about somewhere around 800 to 900 different collectors who have submitted items. And good point by Neil. We are currently getting 5,000 to 10,000 visitors per day on the chip guide. And around some events, some new function or whatever, it's gone over 10,000. So that's how popular this has become. Okay.
Is that page views or separate?
Excuse me?
Is that page views or is that separate?
Visitors.
Separate.
The page views go in the hundreds of thousands a month.
Is that per month or per day?
Per month. Hundreds of thousands per month. Okay. I showed you a list of the administrators, and there are a bunch of administrators here today. These are the guys who get the submissions and put them up on the chip guide. And they spend a lot of time doing this. They're very dedicated, and they're the people that I want to recognize with a round of applause for all their efforts all year long. Thank you, guys. Okay, and then pop quiz number 2.
100,000,
That was the 100,000th item added to the chip guide.
Thank you very much.
It's a token, it's a root token from Mayfair Market. It was donated to the chip guide by John Kalman and put up on April 29th. Okay. So, surprise announcement number 1. And this is what I've been working on for the last month or two. And what I want to give you, I call it the chip guide query facility. Lots of people have specific things that they collect, and I thought I'd give them a way to see the chip guide in the way that they would like to see it. So the query facility is something that says, Show me all the dice from the Caribbean. Or show me all the $1 small key chips from Nevada. Or there's somebody here I know has a specialized collection. Peter, is there something you collect? $2.50 chips. Let's see what we can do without that. So I'm gonna leave here. Now this I know is gonna work. Because it's running off of my PC. Okay, so this is the ChipGuide query facility. And when I start off, hit reset, and I don't know why it's so slow. It tells me that since it's on my PC, it's not current. I did this last week, so we're at 106,000 items. And that if you went through every page of everything that's here, it would be 2,130 pages. But let's customize it and say we want to see all chips that have $2.50 denomination. And when I hit query, it goes and does a query, and out pops all the 250 chips. And I could say, I want to see 50 on the page, or I could say, I want to see 200 on the page. And when you use it live, it's running off the server, and it's going to be a lot faster than it is now. So now here are 200 on the page, and I could say I want to see them 6 across, or I want to see 8 across, and it will let you look at this the way you want to look at it. Now, Peter, do you just do worldwide or a specific area?
No, I do worldwide. I have a question. Do these scans come up in some kind of order?
Yes, by country or state, and then by casino name.
Okay, so it'll be alphabetically by country and alphabetically by state.
Right, and that's,
Just the way you would do a database.
right. And that's, can be changed if it needs to be changed. And what I want to let you know, again, this is a database and we could do a lot with it. This is kind of the first step of something that we're really doing with it, and there are more things that we're thinking about. But if you wanted to say, I just want to see 250 chips in the Caribbean, we could change the query. And if it was online, it would be done already. And then here's all the Caribbean 250 chips.
Again, in the same order by country.
Same order. And if we wanted to see them just from Aruba, there they are. So let's look at something that a lot of people here collect. Let's look at not all chips, but just table chips from the United States, from Nevada, and anybody collect just like small key chips? Again, sorry it's taken so long, but this is running off of my laptop. And realize it runs off of a much bigger server. And what I'll do to make it faster, I'll do 50 a page. And then it'll run much faster. So we now know that there are 327 small key chips on the chip guide from Nevada. And the other thing that we do is, what if you'd like to see this in a checklist kind of format? So you don't have to see the images. You could select text and hit query. And now you have the same items, but shown in text format. And it's got the chip guide number in the first catalog, and since this is a database, it's a link. So if you click on the link, you could go see details about the item. And go back. Or if you want to go and see that casino, the bank club, you could click on that, and up comes the bank club. So it's a little bit more than just a list. It's a linkable list, and I didn't think of it yet, but I could actually put a little box in the first column, so you could check it off and keep track of what you have in your collection. So you could see everything, images or in text format, and just go back and forth. The idea is to give you a chip guide that meets your collecting needs.
Charles, is there anything you can say about the chip guide numbering system? So does every object, every dice, every chip, every extra have a unique number?
Every item on the chip guide should have one chip guide number. That's not totally true now, but that's not by design. It's by, for instance, we got the chip guide of England, donated by Jason Skinner. And there are casinos there. There were a bunch of casinos owned by one company, like Gala Casinos, that had 20 locations, but they used the same chip at each casino. He had each one separately, and when we ported it in, we have 20 copies of it, each with a different chip guide number. So eventually, when we get some time, we're going to fix that. But right now, there are some chips that are there with more than one chip guide number. The chip guide number is given out sequentially. Each item gets one greater than the last one we put in. Don?
Is the currency represented by the denomination an element in your database?
Yes.
Like if I wanted to see all the €1 chips, I could do that?
It's not a selectable item up there yet. The denomination is not the currency. But if we went to a country that had euros, let's go to Europe and France and one. Take away the small t and hit query. Dun, dun, dun.
So you have to do separate queries for each member of the European Union if you wanted to get all €1 chips.
No, you could do all of Europe in one shot.
Oh, you can.
You just leave the country blank. And we find out we have 1,518 of them across Europe. Okay? If Greece issued a 1 drachma chip, then that would come up there too. But that's another suggestion of making the currency another drop down there. Not difficult to do. We also have, you could select on the event. Anybody here collect Halloween chips? So, I know we have more than 8. I only wonder why 8 came up. Oh, because they're limited edition chips. If I just put chips all, now I'll get all of them. Okay, so there are 148 Halloween chips up on the chip guide. And for the events that we have up here, there's anniversaries, April Fool's, birthday, Chinese New Year. I know a lot of people collect Chinese New Year, right? So I do a query, and we have 312 Chinese New Year chips. And if you want to break that down and say, I only want to see them from Nevada, then there's 120 of them.
Is there a field for event that was not there previously?
Event is a relatively new thing that we added. And we recognized the need for that. And what I did was, I did keyword searches on the comments area where we had that information before, and then I filled in those fields. So it's not perfect yet, but I think we did a pretty good job filling them in. So
Is grand opening considered that event?
we have a separate category for grand openings. So if you want to see all the grand opening, I would go grand opening chips. Leave that blank, and big query. And we have 91 grand opening chips from Nevada. If we take Nevada out of the mix,
Charles, in the chip guide, you just show one face of the chip, they're both the same, and two of them are different.
Right.
Same format. Here, they're both-
yeah, we did it a little bit different. So here's a chip that's a two-sided chip. So on the front side, we have the number and stuff. On the back side, we just say it's the reverse. So you can see both sides.
Charles, in the same vein, when you have a total count up there, is that a total count of images or is that a total count of actual chips?
Items, chips, or dice, or,
We have two sides, they don't count the chip.
Yes.
Chip guide number.
So the numbers.
right. Anybody collect dice, or ashtrays, or tokens? Any particular denomination? $10, did someone say? We'll see how many we have. 64 in the United States.
Silver strike is a separate.
So Silver Strike is a separate category. Yeah. Now, these are all filters, so they're limiting everything. But one of the things we would hope to do is also to have multiple filters working at the same time. So if you want to see $5 chips and $5 tokens together on a page, you would be able to do that. Okay? But right now it's just, or if you wanted to see just one of the things I did was, a lot of people only collect, let's say fractionals. So I put in fractional, and when it does the scan, when it does the query, it looks for anything less than $1. But right now you couldn't say, I just want to see $5 and $25 together on the page, or if Nate Pincus was here, just 25-cent chips and $25 chips. But that's something we would be working towards.
How about web sheets?
Yeah, we have thousands of cruise ship chips. So this would be what all the fractionals would be that we have on the chip guide. And I also have one for high denomination, so anything over $500, and another one that says just ones and 250s and 5s and 25s and 100s. So, but, you know, that's my view of the world. Other people are probably thinking about other different things that they would like to see. Let us know, and we'll try and get them in there. Anything else? Any other questions you have about the query facility? This will be going live on the chip guide in the next day or so as time allows.
How do you get to the query screen?
It's going to be a link under the features section. Chip guide query facility.
Question on the comment sections, generic things.
Yeah.
Is it possible, is there an app where you can search on the comments?
We don't have it implemented yet. Certainly be done.
That would be kind of fun.
Okay, so get on the submission guide and put in that comment. Okay?
Like, you don't have enough to do.
Again, some of these things are easy and, you know, we could do it in the snap, and other things might, it's a great idea, it's just gonna take a little work to get it done. Yes, sir?
My question is, this chip doesn't have the name of the casino, it says California. How would you find out, what way would you find out what?
All it says on it is California.
You wanna see? Somebody told me
It's an
that
oddity.
it was.
And
Well, it's,
I didn't know that.
okay. One of my goals is that if somebody has a chip, that they could go to the chip guide and figure out what it is that they have. So a lot of times, this is from the patio club, I know that because it says PC over here. So if you go on the chip guide and look for PC under California, you'll find this. Okay? There is a casino search facility that if it's just got a name, it doesn't have a location, you could go into the casino search area, and if you search on, let's say it said California, it would show you all the casinos that have California in their name.
The chip like this, that says a casino, in no state.
Right. So it's a chip from the Caravan Inn. So let's go back here to casino search, enter in Caravan, and hit search. It's going. The word caravan cannot be found. Barry, isn't this a Washington chip? Caravan Inn?
I think it's in Yakima, Washington, somebody told me that today.
I didn't know, I didn't find it. Yeah. There it is. Again,
That's Canada.
oh, it's misspelled. Barry, you get a demerit. That's why we didn't find it, but if I had searched then on
Sounds like they use on the
Thank you for fixing that.
there it is. Okay. So that's you know, we are using the power of the database to do things like keyword searches on the casino name. Okay? So my goal is if somebody's holding a chip, regardless of where it came from or how it was used, that they'll be able to come to the chip guide and figure out what it is that they have. And you know, we keep on getting suggestions like this to make them easier. For the one that says PC, there's an example, let's say there was the Coin Castle Casino in Vegas, and they issued some chips that just say CCC on it. So if I go to Nevada, and I go to the C's, I'll see CCC over here. And if I click on it, it says, multiple casino or alias numbers. The chips used at this casino will also used at the Coin Castle, or Coin Castle is an alias. Click here to go to the Coin Castle. So here's, you started out with a chip that said CCC, found it on the chip guide, and it brought you over to the Coin Castle casino. So it's kind of like an index entry or an alias.
But you went to Nevada, can you do it in the casino name search by putting up CCC?
Hold on. No. What if I just do this?
Right, chip search.
BCC, and if I put an asterisk at the end. No. I think it's got to be at least 4 letters before the search facility works. That was a restriction on the search that I'm using. Sorry about that. Okay, any other questions about the chip guide or the query facility?
Maybe just an observation, that there are so many chips that were made for personal poker sets with 3 initials that, you know.
Go to 3. All right, I'll try and see if I can go from 4 down to 3.
Well, I'm just saying, you somehow have to deal with the fact that many chips don't relate to the casino, they relate to the individual.
Right, okay, that's a good suggestion. Done.
If Peter wants to see not only chips that are coded as 2.50, he also wants to see 2.5s, as many of the Caribbean chips are, the 2 and 1/2s. Is there a way to do that with one search?
We do not use what's written on the chip necessarily. It goes into a numeric field as 2.50.
Selection list of acceptable numbers.
Right.
So it would be put in as a 2.50.
Right.
So if we put in 2.50, we're gonna see 2.5 chips, we're gonna see 2.5 chips.
You'll even see 2 shillings and 6 pence, because that's what they do in
Okay.
UK.
Yeah, we just talked about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Surprise number 2.
Surprise number 2. So, surprise number 2 is we made a special chip to commemorate the 100,000th chip on the chip guide. And it's an octagon, and the front of it has a picture of the chip guide and the $100,000 notation. The back of it has the global chip guide, and on the edge it says, dedicated to Greg Susan, founder of the chip guide. And I know Greg's son, Robert, was here this week. Is he here today? No, I guess he couldn't make it. Otherwise, we would have given him the first chip. But everybody here will be getting one of these on your way out. And if there's someone you know who'd like one, who's not here today, they'll be on sale for $5 each at the museum table inside the showroom. Yes, sir.
Listed in the chip guide.
Not yet. It hasn't been issued. It's going to be issued as you're leaving, and then it'll be up. Okay. So, I don't know, what time do we have now?
5 minutes.
Questions? Comments? What you'd like to see? Should I go back and play around with the query facility? Yes?
I haven't been collecting as long as those people in the street, so I just want to thank you and everyone who worked on it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Peter?
Okay, so you can print it, you can
The original chip guide had 2 columns, and it had, for each series that was issued, it had 1 chip and then it listed all the denominations in the series. So it showed 1 image and then listed in text all the denominations. There's no reason why I couldn't do that. I could have a drop down that says image format, text format, and Susan format. And if there was another format that was widely, used, we can do that. We just have to make a different form for it.
I understand.
There's no reason why we couldn't do it. We just hasn't been requested and it hasn't been done yet. That's all.
Charlie, you said got the chip guide on your capture. How big is the chip guide in size?
It's about 10 gigabytes worth of images, and the database itself is about 30 megabytes worth of data.
What I was getting at is, for example, is there a way that I could save part of the chip guide numbers? I got Mississippi chips. I want to be able to have on my laptop, my tablet, a complete list of all the Mississippi chips that there are. Are we transferring that information?
So, you're not the first one to have that idea, and technically there isn't a reason why not. We've been thinking about what's the best way of introducing something like that, if it's something worth doing. One of the things that we're keep in mind is that there are people who print catalogs as provide further information on prices, as a fee-based thing, and we're not a fee-based thing, and we want to cooperate with them for the better of the hobby. So we're taking that step slowly. I will tell you, however, if I wanted to, I could have a button up on once you've done a query, there's no reason why I couldn't have a button there that says, download the PDF version of it.
It's just for like the situation here where you want to look at something, but you can't get internet connection on it.
Right. So this is not necessarily a technical issue. It's more of what's the best way to do it for the hobby.
Theoretically, you can do it for some states, not others, right?
No question about that. Okay.
When's the mobile app coming?
I haven't had too many requests for it, so it's not on the top of the list, and I'm not sure what the requirements are.
Android works fine.
Barry?
I noticed that when you see the list, obviously, you got the image on the top that have all the heading information, which on a smaller or tablet or something like that. So it's less, is there a way that could be, what's your query, you don't need to see that information, and that way you have more room for the information.
All right. I mean, when we do a mobile app for it, it will be optimized for the smaller format. Okay.
Given that Las Vegas is such a special large category, can that be separated out from the states?
It could. We could bring it down to the city level. For most places, city level is not important, but I do recognize that Vegas is important. It could be done. Yep.
What about card rooms that use a chip from a different card? Like the Sundowner card room in Visalia, California is the worst card room in California. It's an awful place. And the chips they use say Targus card room, T-A-G-U-S.
Okay. We recognize that sometimes the same chip is used in more than one location. And we want that chip to have one chip guide number, but to be able to appear under multiple casinos. And we added that feature in. And it's not an alias. It could be one chip. So the chip guide administrators now once they put in a chip, there's a button that they have that says add casino. And then they could put that same chip into a second casino. It uses all the information from one. So let's say we put it into a second casino, then we get a better image of it. We only have to put in the better image once, and then it'll appear in both casinos or whatever. Or the color was put in as green, but it's really aqua. So all the information about the chip is stored once, but the chip can appear in multiple casinos. And we do handle those situations, or it's not that unusual that happens.
How would, if we're looking at a chip, that we don't know is in multiple casinos?
It tells you.
Oh, it does.
When you look at that chip, there'll be a little text next to it in red that says show casinos. So if it's used in more than one, you'll get a notification when you're looking at that chip. And then what you'll get is information about the chip, and then information about the casinos it was used in. And you'll be able to click on those casinos and, go from there. Okay. All right, well then, we're done. One last